right, what would you like to talk about today?
Okay, so I am graduating in December, and I recently applied for this job that is really important to me. It's with a nonprofit that I've been volunteering with for 4 years, and the program director actually suggested that I applied several times, and he texted me about the position, and he talked to me about it in person, and he sent me a Facebook message. So I'm pretty excited about this idea because I think that I have a really good shot at getting this position. But I'm also pretty scared because I'm graduating in December, and that's kind of when I find out whether I get the position or not. And it's kind of an uncomfortable situation to be graduating and not have a full-time job like I kind of thought I would. So I'm really thrown off by that, and it's definitely stressing me out.
You feel conflicted because you're graduating, and that's a really exciting thing, but you don't have a job yet, and so you kind of feel like your life is chaotic.
Yeah, and I feel like everyone else expects me to have this full-time job and know exactly what I'm doing and have be in my career the second I graduate college, and I know that that's not really how things go. But whenever adults, real adults, talk to me and ask me what I'm doing, I feel like there's this expectation, and I feel like it's really heavy on me that people have this expectation of me to have it all figured out, and I really don't.
You feel pressure because you think that those around you, especially adults, have this high expectation for you, especially in this transition in your life.
Right, yeah, and at the same time, I also am kind of well, you're still not really in your dream job either, so why are you asking me at 22 what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life? Mm-hmm. Especially since I've been talking about going to grad school in the future lately and stuff. So I think that kind of, I guess I had this expectation of myself too, that I would graduate and just go straight into my career and I'd be there for the rest of my life and it'd be great. And now I'm kind of realizing that that's not really, how things work. It's a lot more exploration than that.
So on one hand, you are graduating, and that's exciting, and you want to kind of hit the ground running. But on the other hand, you're realizing that that's not really realistic, and it's okay to take some time to find a good fit for John.
Yeah, and I'm starting to realize that for myself too, and I definitely think that this position would be a good fit and a good way for me to explore more options, because I would be working with middle school and high school and college students to develop leadership, which I think is really important, and I'm really passionate about it. I get really emotional talking about what I do there, or what I have done in the past, which is helping basically empower young people to be leaders and to feel empowered to be able to make changes on their own at a young age, because I don't think I really had that when I was that age. So I think that it's really exciting for me, so I'm really passionate about this upcoming position, and I'm just anxiously awaiting to hear how it went.
So you are very excited about what is to come because you think that it would be a really good fit because it's something that you're very passionate about.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask me what I want to do, and I want to do something that I feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives and that I'm passionate about. And I don't really know what that will be long term, but I know that I would be passionate about this, and I would make a difference doing this. So I'm really excited about that prospect, but also I feel, so I've been told a lot that I'm really qualified for the position. The program director who also interviewed me suggested that I apply several times, and when I didn't apply because I got in a car accident, they extended the deadline. And I don't know if that was just for me or to get more candidates, but I kind of have a feeling that it had something to do with them being hopeful that I would apply, because the program director texted me and said, hey, we extended the deadline if you're still interested. So I feel really hopeful, but on the other hand, I don't want to get too excited because I don't want to I'd be really disappointed if I were to not get the position for some reason, or if there was just a more qualified candidate than me.
Could you tell me more about what it is you might do if you were to not get the position?
If I were to not get the position, I would start applying for other jobs, but I haven't yet because I'm like really hopeful for this position. And the job doesn't pay very well because it's at a nonprofit and it's a fellowship. But it does have benefits and it is full-time, which would be really nice. And I think it's a really good stepping stone. It's an 11-month position. So I think that would give me more time to kind of explore my options. But if I were to, so I kind of don't want to apply to another position because if I were to get a different position, I would still want to take the job with STLF because they've done a lot for me, and I work, honestly, the application is just a really big process, so to not take advantage of that, I believe it's a really good opportunity for me. Like, that sounds wasteful or like selfish to not take the position, so I haven't really applied anywhere else yet. But if I were to, I would apply to other places, and maybe I was thinking about applying to work with like study abroad programs because I really enjoyed my study abroad experience, and I think that it's a good thing for everyone to do if they are able. So I've thought about doing that or applying to other nonprofits or kind of exploring different like mental health career options.
You mentioned that you feel like you have these expectations from adults in your life or others around you. How do you think that those expectations would affect you if you were to not get this job?
I'm trying to not focus on other people's expectations of me because ultimately I'm the person that lives with my decisions, and to be honest, I feel like a lot of people that have these expectations of me don't really meet their own expectations for themselves. Like, they have like full-time jobs, but they're not like their dream careers or anything. So I feel like I've already done like a lot more than people thought that I probably would. Like, I like studied abroad, and I used to be really like reserved and really afraid to take risks. And I've done like a lot to expand myself and to grow as a person. So I think that, like, no matter what, I'm sure that I'll find a full-time job. So I don't want to, like, put too much pressure on myself for that. And I think eventually, like, the career that I'm passionate about will come. Mm-hmm. But I think that it takes time. So I'm trying not to focus on other people's expectations of myself. But it is kind of hard to accept sometimes that, like, my initial plan was to be a nurse. And then I decided that I really didn't want to do that anymore, and it was not coming naturally to me, and it just didn't feel like the right fit anymore. But then, like, when I originally started college, I wanted to be a teacher, and then I just changed and decided I wanted to be a nurse, and I took all the pre-nursing classes, and then it just didn't really go the way I thought it was supposed to, and then I realized that wasn't really what I was passionate about, and I was more passionate about working with people. So, like, initially I thought I'll graduate, get a job as a nurse, and then that'll be that. And then I changed my major to family and social science, and then now people ask me what I want to do, and I don't really know, but I know that my major classes align with what I'm interested in, and I think that that's more important.
Sure. So hearing you talk about expectations and pressure in your life, especially from the adults that are around you, kind of reminds me of an experience that I've had with my family, and I've been making a decision to move away, and I don't really feel like my family has been supporting me. I feel like there's a lot of pressure to have this life in Minnesota, and it's been very hard, but I've also been learning to deal with kind of blazing my own path and living with the fact that I might not live up to other people's expectations. And so I don't think that is necessarily exactly the same as what you're experiencing, but do you think that it can relate to what you're feeling at all?
Yeah, I think that it definitely relates because on one hand, I feel like a lot of people have these expectations of me, and they do affect me, but I also am starting to finally realize that their expectations don't really define whether I'm being successful or not, and I think that I kind of have to focus. It's like hard for me to ignore what other people might think, but like I think it's important for me to focus more on what's important to me and how I feel about myself, and I think that that's something that I'm like kind of working on.
Okay. So in this transition, you are beginning to feel pleased because you're learning how to kind of make decisions for yourself and live for yourself.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm learning to like stand up for myself and say like it's okay that I don't have all the answers, because I can be like really perfectionistic and I can be really critical of myself sometimes. And I'm starting to realize that I need to like appreciate myself for what I'm already doing and what I've already done, and like give myself more credit because I'm not very good at doing that. So I think that that's like something that I have recently been like really working on, is like, giving myself the credit for the things that I do and accepting that things don't really go as planned, and that's just how life works.
Right. Well, hearing you talk about all of this, I know that you already mentioned something about this, but I'm wondering at all if maybe feeling these expectations and kind of all these realizations that you're having relates at all to maybe you were feeling kind of doubtful of yourself, or kind of timid about what is to come because you haven't necessarily taken a large step like this before. This is just a hunch. Do you think that could be true at all?
I think there is some truth to that, and I don't really like to admit it, but I think that I am, like, okay, so this kind of relates to the situation, but when I first applied to colleges, I had, like, really good GPA and stuff, but when I applied, I, like, decided that no schools would want me, and I freaked out and was like, I'm gonna apply to, like, Mankato and Winona, and, like, all these, like, less advanced, like, academically schools, and I was like freaking out, and my parents were like, you're going to get in, you're okay, you're fine. And I think that it's kind of like that with like that now with jobs, because I'm like worried that like in comparison to other people I don't have enough experience, or like maybe like my resume won't be good enough, or like I don't know, I was thinking like about this job that I just applied, like maybe my interview wasn't good enough, or what if I didn't answer this question well enough, or what if I didn't really demonstrate my skills, because I do think I have the skills to do the position, but I don't know how well I communicated that. So I think there is some doubt in myself, and just like I do kind of doubt myself a little bit in terms of like finding a career that's like going to be meaningful, and I think that that's like I've kind of accepted that in this field I probably won't get into a career that is very, very high paying. I've kind of accepted that. So I'm looking for a career that's meaningful, that gives, that I enjoy doing. And I do have some doubts like that I will find that as quickly as I would hope it to, but I also think that I have to be patient, which is challenging for me.
Yeah. So you feel self-conscious because you are coming out of college and you don't know if you can compete with a lot of people that have been in this field longer.
Yeah, and I feel like I guess I'm like more than self-conscious. I guess I would say that I'm more of like just nervous. I'm just nervous about like how things will go, because it is such a big step and such a new thing. I've been a student for 17 years, and I know that I do that well. So it's just a big transition from going to like cashiering jobs to like being in a real adult career. So I think that that's just a big step that it makes me nervous, but I'm also really excited about like all the potential that there is. Like there are so many jobs that are available and that I could try, and I think that that's kind of exciting, and I'm pretty like hopeful about that like idea, but it is something that I'm really like nervous and kind of doubtful about at times.
Right. Well, as I hear you saying that you're kind of nervous and doubtful at times, I am noticing that there's a pattern of you kind of, whenever you talk about this job and what is to come, you just have this big smile on your face. So you seem very, at least positive about it, at least in the field you're in. So I just have a lot of respect for that. I think that even though this is a time of transition, it seems like you're really, you know what you want to do, even if it's kind of shaky how you get there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking about this transition in your life and moving into your new job, graduating, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.